So, hello children, here I am with biological classification for the class 12 students. Okay, this is the part 3. So today we are going, so before that let me introduce myself Kakoli Saha, biology teacher from DAV Public School, CCL Kiredi. So children, we are going to take up Kingdom Protista today. Okay, now the most important characteristic I tell my children that how can you remember, they are the unicellular eukaryotic organism. Unicellular eukaryotic organism. See children, it's very easy to remember. Monera is the only prokaryotes. The rest you are going to study is the eukaryotes. And always remember Protista, they are specifically unicellular eukaryotic organism. When they are eukaryotic, you can very well understand what you can understand, that they have well defined nucleus and what? Membrane bound cell organelles. So these are the characteristics of eukaryotes which you know, and since they are eukaryotic, no matter it is unicellular or multicellular, that characteristic need to be there. Now children, the other characteristics of Protista need to be studied. Okay, now this is actually the connecting link with the other kingdoms. Always remember, Protista is the connecting link with the other kingdoms which you are going to study. In this, we will be studying about chrysophytes, about the dinoflagellates, all those things we will be discussing about. Okay, chrysophytes, then you will be studying about the dinoflagellates, then we will study about eglinoids, then the slime molds, and lastly about the protozoans. Simply what you have to see the characteristics one by one. So first of all, let us take up the chrysophytes. What the chrysophytes? This group includes the diatoms. What does this include? This chrysophyte? They include the diatoms and the desmids These are the two things. First and foremost thing you have to remember. This desmids, they are also known as golden algae. What they are known as? Golden algae. Now see children, they are fresh, they are found in fresh water as well as in marine environment. Always you know the difference between fresh and marine. So first what we are going to take up, we are going to take up the chrysophytes. So I have given what is included, and about their habitat. They can be found in fresh water as well as in marine environment as well as in marine environment. Next what you are going to see, that they can float. Okay, they can float passively children in water currents. They are not stagnant. They don't remain confined to a particular place. They can float. They can float. Next you can see most of them are photosynthetic. That is why they are known as chief producers of the ocean. Next characteristic, what you have to remember, that most, okay, usually they are photosynthetic. What? They are photosynthetic. That is why they are known as the chief producers. They are known as the chief producers of the ocean. What they are known as? Chief producers of the ocean. You all must be knowing water producers, because in your lower class you all have studied in the food chain. You have seen producers, consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. If you take the terrestrial ecosystem, what you will see, the grasses or the green plants, they are the producers. Who are having it? The herbivores are having it, so herbivores are the primary consumer. So being photosynthetic, they are the chief producers. One important point you have got, they are the chief producers of the ocean. That is why they are known as the chief producers of the ocean. Now the next important characteristic is that you will find their cell wall. Okay, the cell wall has been arranged or adapted or made in such a way, arranged in such a way that you have seen the soap box now. The two parts fit together in the cell wall. Here also in the cell wall, you will find a structure which appears as if the two parts have been fitted together like a soap box. And you know, the cell wall contains silica. The cell wall contains silica, and this silica is indestructible, children. What it is, the most important, next the important point is, you will find, what you will find, the cell wall, you will find deposition of silica in it, and this silica is indestructible, means it does not get destroyed. And obviously, what happens when a diatom dies? Since it is indestructible, it is leaving behind the cell wall with the silica. And what happens? Years, maybe billions of years will take, but that deposition of the silica takes the form of diatomaceous earth. What is known as deposition, वो सिलिका डिपॉजिट्स होते जाते हैं मे बी ओशन बेड में जहाँ पे भी हैं, and it gives rise to a structure or to something, a place which is rich full of silica, because after the death, cell wall, because having silica, it's indestructible, so the deposits get accumulated and gives rise to diatomaceous earth. Okay, you will be asked what it is. So this is another important point. And this silica, you know, children, they are used for many important, because the soil contains the silica na, it is used, it is having various useful purposes, like it is used in polishing or in filtration of oils and syrups, all those things it is being used. So this was about the chrysophytes. We will now go, so these few things you will remember. Again I am recapitulating. First, diatoms or the desmids. Second point was they can be found in fresh or marine habitat. Third point is most of them are photosynthetic, that is why they are the chief producers of the ocean. Next unique characteristic is about the cell wall, which appears as if the two parts of the soap box are fitted together. That structure is being exhibited by the cell wall, and the cell wall is having silica which is indestructible. When the diatoms die, they leave behind the cell wall, and this silica, after deposition, means it takes millions, billions of years, and forms a structure known as diatomaceous earth, that particular place where the deposition has taken place. And the soil, which is rich in silica, they are used for certain purposes also, like polishing, filtration purposes, all those things. So this is all about the chrysophytes. What about the chrysophytes? Now let us go to the dinoflagellates. Where we will move? We will move to dinoflagellates. In the same kingdom, we will move to the other thing that is known as dinoflagellates. Okay, let us see the characteristics. We saw chrysophytes. Now we will see the dinoflagellate. Now see children, that these organisms, they are mostly marine. They are fresh water और marine chrysophytes में देखे थे, लेकिन यहाँ पे क्या देखोगे, they are mostly marine and photosynthetic Okay, always remember this is the first point. They appear yellow, green, various colors, beta, brown, blue, red, depending upon the pigment which they contain. Depending upon the pigment which they contain in their cell. Now, first important point, marine. Second is photosynthetic. Third is various colors. First is what you will see, marine. Okay. Second, what you are going to see, they are photosynthetic. What? Photosynthetic. Third is what? Of various colors you will find. Why various colors? Because of the various pigments which they contain. Various pigments which they contain, because of the presence of the different pigments which they contain. Okay. Now the cell wall over here, there the cell wall you saw, silica deposition, chrysophyte. Here the cell wall, what you will find? You will find the presence of cellulose. What? Stiff cellulose on the outer surface. Here what you will see, that the cell wall, there is the presence of stiff cellulose. Cellulose on the outer surface. On the outer surface. So there is difference with that. Okay. Now most of them have two flagella also. Okay, here you will find the presence of two flagellas. Two flagella. So children, simply you have to remember the characteristic and understand it. So in this way you make a note of it. Simply make a note of it and remember it. The characteristic, of course, you would have to follow. If you don't get it, okay, the few specific terms are there which you have to remember and follow it. So there are two flagella and you have to know the orientation of the flagella. Okay, one lies longitudinally. You know what is longitudinal and what is transverse. So these two flagella, one lies longitudinally and the other lies transversely. What? In a furrow, there is a furrow in between the wall plates. सेल वॉल है, प्लेट्स हैं, उसमें एक फरो है, एक देयर इज ए गैप और फरो लाइक स्ट्रक्चर, और वहाँ वो फ्लैजेला सिचुएटेड है. एक कैसा है बेटा, एक लॉन्गिट्यूडनली है और एक कैसा है, ट्रांसवर्सली. सो हाउ आर दे अरेंज्ड? वन इज लॉन्गिट्यूडनली ओरिएंटेड, वन इज longitudinally oriented. Okay, longitudinally oriented. The other, excuse me children, and the other is transversely oriented. So this additional thing, this was an additional thing. And you know, sometimes what happens, रेड dinoflagellate जो है वो क्या करता है, कभी कभी some water bodies they appear red. So what it is actually, then that phenomenon is known as red tide. What they are known as red tide. What happens? This red dinoflagellates, they undergo rapid multiplication very often and make the entire water body red, give the appearance of a red appearance. In your NCERT book, an example has been given. Please learn that example, that is Gonwalax. Okay, that is the red dinoflagellate. It is because of the red dinoflagellate. So what is red tide? Red tide is nothing but what, the entire sea appears red because of the rapid multiplication of this red dinoflagellate. One best example is Gonwalax. Is it clear to you all? And what you will find, this, they release toxin in the water. They release toxin in the water, and that is why that water becomes polluted. And it proves harmful for the water organisms also. So this was all about the dinoflagellate. Again we will repeat: marine, photosynthetic, then they appear in various colors. It depends on the pigment which they contain. Contains the cell wall. Of course, the cell wall is having the stiff cellulose. Okay. Next, there are presence of two flagellas, one oriented longitudinally and the other transversely. And the most important which we have left but we have discussed is the red tide phenomenon. What red tide? What is red tide? Sometimes, very often, the red dinoflagellates, they multiply very rapidly and cover the entire sea, surface of the sea with their members, since they are multiplying rapidly, and gives the appearance of a red color. That phenomenon is known as red tide. Example is Vonulux. Okay, so this was all about the dinoflagellates. Now we will come to next what we are going to move over to the euglenoids. What? Euglenoids. Okay, so let us see what are the characteristics. Euglenoids. Sorry children. Euglenoids. So let us see the characteristics of the euglenoids. Okay, first characteristic is that majority of them here, that was majority marine dinoflagellates, euglenoids. Majority of them, they are freshwater organism. Most of them are freshwater organism. Freshwater. Okay, found mostly in stagnant. जमा हुआ पानी रहता है ना बच्चों, stagnant waters. So most of them are fresh water, and what they grow or found in stagnant water. Stagnant water. Now instead of cell wall, you know, they have a protein rich layer. Instead of cell wall, they have a protein rich layer, and that layer is known as pellicle. Protein rich. Instead of the cell wall, they have a protein rich layer. What? They have a protein rich layer. That protein rich layer is known as pellicle. What it is known as? It is known as pellicle. Is it clear? Now they are also having two flagella. Dinoflagellate side, and they are also euglenoids are also having two flagella. Now one long and one short. There the orientation was one longitudinal and one transverse. Here the flagella, one of them is long. Euglena you have seen now, so the best example is euglena. So here you will see one long and one short. They are photosynthetic children. Okay, but if in the presence of sunlight they are able to prepare their own food, but if they are not able to perform photosynthesis, okay, when they don't get sunlight, they can act as heterotrophs also by predating on other organisms. By predating, you have learned now predator-prey relationship. So they will be able to act as heterotrophs also by predating on other organisms. So what they can act both as autotrophs and as well as heterotrophs. Now the pigments, you know, in euglenoids, they are similar to higher plants, and the best example is what the pigments are. They can act both as autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. It depends upon how they are getting the sunlight or not. And the pigment which they contain is similar to higher plants. Now children, with this I would wind up today. Slime molds and protozoans left, as well as fungi, and the rest simultaneously we will be dealing up in the next class. So stay safe. Please refer to your NCERT book. Again and again I am putting stress. Don't neglect that. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you all.